Coming up on World's Greenest Homes. In California, an extraordinary off-grid home where the owner has thought of just about everything.
It looks like slate, but actually it's recycled rubber tires. These things will last for 50 years.
And across the Pacific in Australia, something as simple as a bit of concrete helps this home control its temperature.
This is very effective in winter for warmth and, of course, in summer for cool.
I'm Emmanuel Beliveau. Come with me on World's Greenest Homes and see the most extraordinary homes on the planet. Homes that are gorgeous, cool, and green. Northern California, home to laid-back living in some of the world's best wine-growing country. I am on my way to Hopland, California, a couple of hours north of San Francisco. Here in this rustic farming town, there's one couple who are trying to make their town the sustainable capital of California, one solar panel at a time. A mile from the closest utility pole, this off-grid home was designed to resemble a hawk. They call it Sunhawk because solar energy plays such a key role in the life of this house. Not surprising, since 30 years ago, the world's first retail solar panel was sold by this eco-pioneer, John Schaefer. He lives here with his wife, Nancy Hensley, and their canine companions, Sadie and Poppy.
Get it. Good girl.
On the main floor, there's a circular living space. At one end is the kitchen and dining area. At the other end is a guest room, plus a home office next door. On the second floor, there's another guest room, and the master bedroom and bathroom.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm Nancy. Welcome.
Manuel, pleased to meet you. How you doing? I'm John. So glad you made it up here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Right inside the front door is the somewhat unusual main living space.
This is the round house.
This is it?
What inspired a round house?
Oh, I think you got tired of the linearness of a square house where you got corners everywhere, and you've got this completely open floor plan, so it just feels really good to be in here.
Well, there was also the fact that the Native American people that lived here lived in round houses.
John's pioneering spirit in green living goes back 3 decades when he founded America's first solar retail business. But things have changed a lot since then.
We were selling a 9-watt solar panel for $900, $100 a watt. Now it's $5 a watt. But back then, it wasn't because it was the cheapest technology. It was because it was the only technology people could use in the woods.
But what could you run on 9 watts? I mean,
Mostly car stereos.
yeah, car stereo's not that much. At $900,
lights, yeah.
Yeah, at $900, someone's
Yeah.
willing to spend money for something
Yeah.
they believe in, right?
But if you could blast Led Zeppelin and watch Saturday Night Live, your life was complete back in the 70s.
But this 2,900 square foot roundhouse is a treasure trove of energy-independent living from floor to ceiling.
Love these concrete floors. What
you.
kind of pigment do you use on the floor?
It was a stain, an acid stain that we put on the floors to kind of give it some nice color and complement the concrete.
The concrete has been mixed with fly ash, a leftover residue from coal-burning factories. The floors are also radiantly heated by solar.
What kind of paint do you have on the wall?
It's actually stucco.
No paint at all. It's your stucco color right there.
Yeah.
And it's stucco over top of your styrofoam block.
The raster block.
And you can just shape it any way you like.
Created by European engineers in the 70s, raster block is made from a combination of old coffee cups, packing peanuts, and cement. It's fireproof, termite-proof, and all the walls are made of it.
What's this here?
That's the stylized version of the Sunhawk, and you've got the little eye of the hawk at the top with the crystal in it. And when the sun comes up, you can see the shadow of the hawk shining on the floor, and then as the sun rises during the day, the hawk virtually flies across the floor, and it lines up with this slate hawk here on the fall, the autumnal, and the spring equinox. So
Are you serious?
September 21 and March 21, it lines up directly with the tail feathers and with the head, exactly with that hawk. The other part to it, there's another hawk over here by the stove.
Right.
This is kind of a stylized hawk across here with the feathers and the eye out of a garnet here.
Yeah.
And on December 21st every year, assuming the sun is shining, That crystal up there lines up exactly with this garnet right here on December 21st at solar noon. And right when that happens, the stove actually twists around. You drop down inside and come in the middle of the pond.
Okay, you're pulling my leg. You're pulling my leg. Is this a stove that heats your house?
This is a wonderful stove. We actually had a Finland stonemason build it on the floor from the bottom up. It's made of soapstone, very thick. I think it weighs like 6 tons. The beauty of it is you put in a load about 40 pounds of wood, fire it up as hot as you can, let it go out, and it radiates heat for up to 48 hours.
So you can come here a day and a half after you make the fire and lean against the stone, and it's just warm and cozy.
And in case you don't feel like cooking in the kitchen, you've always got this little bake oven here. You can do bread,
Oh,
pizzas
nice.
right in the stove.
Well, that's good.
It's a great stove.
Just off the living space is another room that John and Nancy have worked hard to get just right.
This is your kitchen. Beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a gorgeous countertop. What kind of wood do you have here?
This is walnut slab made from an old walnut tree that we had to cut down to make a driveway.
And you've got walnut on the front here as well?
Walnut on the front here and bay laurel around the edges, which was from a tree that came down in a windstorm at a friend of mine's house.
But I notice you've also got some granite in here. Granite.
Ah.
Yeah, these are granite countertops. We always loved the look of granite, but weren't too fond of the idea of bringing it over from Italy, so we checked around in the Bay Area and found a cafe in Berkeley that had gone out of business, and so we thought, perfect, repurpose it, use it in the kitchen.
Well, that's okay. So you're repurposing it then. It wasn't going to go to landfill sites, so you're going to reuse it.
All the appliances are solar powered, with the exception of the propane stove.
Actually, when we were designing the house, we had a solar oven going right outside that door, and we were going to use the solar oven for the majority of our cooking, but it was just one compromise we couldn't quite make.
Yeah.
You know, putting your rice in the pot at noon and coming back at 7 o'clock and hoping it's done.
Right.
We
A cloud goes over and bye-bye rice, right? You don't eat that night. You've got to eat. And this is nice, too.
Yeah.
Is that your vent?
Yeah.
That's our stove hood.
And that sucks everything out? It works just fine?
Yeah, it works just fine. Very simple.
We just took a colander, drilled some holes in it. You know, they tell you that you need these giant hoods over your stove that cost $4,500 or something, and that was like, you know, $395 in a thrift store.
Yeah.
Never been a problem. Perfect draw.
We've just seen the circular main living space and the kitchen. But tucked behind the living room is one of the home's more unusual green features.
What is this?
This is the cooling room in the central core of the house, which cools the house down in the absence of any air conditioning.
Yeah, I read about that. You've got like tubes underneath the house, you've got a thermal mass that keeps everything cold, and you pump air up through here?
Yes, underneath here you've got 10 feet deep of rock storage, so it's like small gravel rock storage that goes down here. From there you've got 150-foot culverts, 2 of them, that go all the way out to the edge of the house. It's an underground 10 feet. The temperature stays consistently 67 degrees throughout the year. So when it's 100 or 110 degrees out, you get this 67-degree cooling temperature pumped in here through the solar fans. And you can feel right here that it's pretty cool air.
That's very cool air
It's
coming
real
through
nice.
here.
You can come in here when you're totally sweaty and exhausted from outside, come in here and just chill out, as it were.
Just down the hall, there's a guest bathroom with a mosaic that Nancy made with her niece and nephew from leftover ceramic tiles. Next to the bathroom, there's a comfortable guest bedroom.
These are nice doors.
Yeah, these doors, actually, all of the redwood doors in the house came from a old wine tank. It was a 10,000-gallon wine tank that was taken apart and made into these doors.
It is beautiful.
Some of the boards, you can even see the purple color of the wine and smell it.
I was gonna say, can you smell it? Can you still smell the
Sometimes you
tannins
can.
of the wine? This bed's gorgeous. Is this reclaimed wood?
Yes, our neighbor made this bed out of recycled wood. And
beautiful.
it also has organic sheets.
Look at that. Termites got to it.
Yeah, they did.
And what do you have in here?
This is a new addition. This is our office and family room.
Got a great view from your office. That's really
It is. This used to be the garage, and then we just, 3-4 months ago converted it into an office.
The lights in this room are called solar tubes, also known as sun pipes.
The sun comes down through those, and you can see when it gets dark in here, they put out the equivalent of 300 watts of light because of the prismatic effect of the sun coming down this tube, so it's really nice.
On the way up to the second floor, there's a balcony that overlooks the living room.
And we're back to the center of the house again. Wow, this is great. These are great. Love this. This exposed timber is just beautiful.
These come from an old naval warehouse in Bay One, New Jersey. that was torn down and somehow ended up in California, and we found them.
You've got a nice vantage point here of the hawk and the stained glass.
Mm-hmm. Great place to come up and make your Sunday morning sermons to the congregation below.
It's the people who want to listen.
Yeah.
All the sun worshippers. Right. All right, where to now?
Let's check out the master bedroom.
These are great looking floors. Is this walnut?
Yeah, it's called Calaro walnut. Unfortunately, around here, they cut down a lot of walnut trees to put in vineyards, and they usually just leave it on the ground to rot. So we salvaged the walnut trees, had them milled up into tongue and groove flooring, and set it in this whole bedroom and hallway. So yeah, I think it's really beautiful stuff.
This is a nice way to walk off of your master bedroom onto a beautiful balcony like this.
It's a great place to have a cocktail, glass of wine. It's really gorgeous out
And you
here.
can watch the sun disappear over top
Duncan Peak.
that peak.
Yeah.
Back inside, I want to check out what I've heard is a rather unusual master bathroom.
Look at this.
Round too.
It's an unusual shape.
The bathroom has some of the best views in the whole house, and it's decorated with hand-painted Mexican ceramic and tile. There's one more nook we haven't explored yet. It's a place from which you can get a hawk's eye view of their whole 320-acre property.
Oh, look at this. A beautiful view you guys have here. What kind of roof is this?
It looks like slate, but actually it's recycled rubber tires from the automobile industry. These things will last for 50 years, and they're Class A fire rated. They melt the rubber down and pour it into a slate mold, so it comes out looking exactly like black slate. Nice part is they cost about half the price of real slate.
You have your photovoltaic panels back here.
There's photovoltaic panels, and then there's solar hot water panels that are powered by a photovoltaic, and this is where the power and the hot water comes from.
But the real power behind this house lies across this field.
This is your solar system.
Yep.
Look at them all.
This is actually about 15.5 kilowatts of solar, and the nice part is they're actually all recycled. It was a system that Real Good sold to Belize back in 1997. The hurricane blew them down, and they didn't want them anymore, so we bought them back for like $1 a watt, and this is enough power to power the entire house and the well pumps and everything we could ever use. And then they're augmented in times when the sun doesn't shine, the hydroelectric system down in the creek, which itself puts out 36 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, so you've got a redundant system here, two things producing all your power you need. This is great.
Yeah.
Really great.
Back across the field to the other side of the house is the pond. It's not only beautiful, but it helps cool things down.
Well, this pond is great. Why'd you put a pond on here?
When you get 110-degree weather in the summer, you end up in this pond about 5 or 10 times a day. It's mostly what we use it for is passive cooling. As you can tell, it gets a little windy up here, and the wind comes off here like a giant evaporative cooler, pushes over towards the house and keeps it cool. When you get those late afternoons where the sun comes down in the west, it actually cools it down quite a bit.
And how long did this take to put in?
The pond, it was like 3 weeks of excavation, and then it actually filled up really fast after we'd had maybe 5 or 10 inches of rain back in 2001. It filled right up. It's amazing.
So this just fills rainwater and there's no natural spring flowing into here?
Well, there's actually about 4 springs that flow into here that keep it topped off in the summertime, but the rainwater's enough to fill it up to the top in the wintertime.
The bottom is just natural clay and no pond liner.
Nothing.
Because it doesn't need it. But around the edges, we've got pond liner, and that keeps the cattails from taking root. Except over here, we've left out the pond liner, so we have cattails and rushes.
That's a natural habitat for other animals.
For habitat for the migrating birds.
At the far end of the pond, John and Nancy made a 30-foot wide grotto out of stucco-covered concrete.
This is a wonderful place in the middle of the summer when it's 105 degrees out because you're completely covered in trees. You can look out, see the view of the pond. You can come here with a canoe, get out right here with a canoe. You can sit on the bench in there. It's nice and cool, and you got the water coming over the chutes.
And on a hot day, you can sit underneath that water and cool off.
Yeah,
And this is just spring water.
Spring
Keeping out of
water.
the hills, yeah.
So that's coming from further up the hill.
A little bit further up the hill.
And it's collecting in a reservoir up there, then coming down here?
Yeah.
Collects in a couple ponds and then comes right over these chutes. In the wintertime, you get hundreds of gallons a minute coming down here. Just one solid waterfall.
Amazing.
Like in December, January.
Just above the grotto, there's an ingenious system that John developed to capture and control the runoff, which creates that beautiful waterfall.
And this feeds the chutes down there?
Yeah, this is the lily pond, and there's 5 chutes here that were all designed with a laser so that the water would fill up equally in all these chutes. So in the wintertime, when you got, water gushing down here after a big rainstorm, they're all filled exactly to the top, preventing any erosion from happening whatsoever. And that's why you get that huge effect down below. And then you come up here in the daytime, and all these lilies are just gorgeous.
Beautiful. This is ingenious. I love this idea.
Yeah.
This is a great feature. And it takes no energy to run it.
No,
Because you have a natural spring filling this up.
All gravity feed.
Runs off.
Yep.
Gravity fed. This is incredible, absolutely incredible.
John and Nancy have managed to build a home that's one of the most unusual I've ever seen. They've been able to experiment with green technology and materials that not only keep them off the grid, but give this home a style and personality all of its own.
If you could give someone some advice who was deciding to go off the grid, what would be the first thing you'd tell them to do?
Be patient and be flexible, and just do what you can, and don't worry about being perfect. Just do what you can. Take it slow.
Reduce your energy consumption first, and then look at how much solar you need instead of the other way around.
Yeah. Well, this is great. This is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so very much for the tour. Architects and designers agree that there's nothing more environmentally friendly than recycling an existing building. That's a challenge our next homeowners took on. They took a turn-of-the-century cottage and treated it to an eco-friendly renovation.
Sydney lies in southeast Australia and is the capital of New South Wales. Sydney Harbour is often called the world's most beautiful natural harbour, and it's not hard to see why. Just 10 minutes away is the up-and-coming neighbourhood of Stanmore. The owners of this Victorian cottage wanted to renovate and double the space with an addition. They also wanted to see how far they could go to make it green as well as design savvy in the inner city. It's home to David Lord, who works in market research, and librarian Kathy Beale, along with Ruby the Beagle and Rex the Cat. This home is in 2 halves. The original Victorian cottage, and round back, the new addition. Inside the cottage, there's a master bedroom with its own bathroom, a sunny guest bedroom, and another bathroom. In the addition, there's an open concept kitchen, dining, and living room, with the all-important barbecue deck.
Welcome, come in. So this is the original part of the house. It was built in about the 1890s or so. We added on to the back. This is the front part, and this is the original master bedroom. I'll take you in. We've pretty much kept it the same shape and layout. We ripped up the carpets to expose the floorboards. We kept the original fireplace. A green feature, we put some insulation in the ceiling. Keeps it very warm in winter and cool in summer.
Next door is the master bathroom, or as the Aussies call it, the ensuite.
It used to be a bedroom. We punched a hole in the wall here for the door. We have water-saving features like water-saving shower head, dual flush toilets.
The toilet uses recycled rainwater, while all the hot water is solar heated. Used water from the showers and tub then becomes part of the grey water system that keeps the garden green.
Here we are in bedroom 2. This room was a bit of a revelation. It was actually a really dark and dingy room before, so what we did was we've punched 2 windows in either side of the original fireplace. The natural light now is just wonderful. Again, we've put insulation in the ceilings and ceiling fans for temperature control. And the floorboards were here, they're original, so we kept them, they're very nice. It's a lovely room now.
And next door, the second bathroom mimics the first in its design and its water-saving features. Leaving the old cottage and going into the new addition, they're the first of 2 living spaces.
In winter, we can actually close these sliding doors here. There's one on the other side of the room, and we can heat this very small space. In summer, the hot air is able to escape through these high louvered windows up here, and then these bifold doors here open up, and then we can have an inside-outside type of room. So we spend a lot of time in this space.
And something as simple as a concrete floor helps this home stay cool, even in the roasting Sydney summers.
On the floor we have polished concrete, and this is a thermal mass. So what it does is it keeps the cool in summer, and the high windows here let the sun in winter, and it heats up the concrete and gives us some warmth at night.
But the real heart of this home is the main open-plan living space.
We've continued the concrete slab out to here. It's quite a large thermal mass. It's very effective in winter for warmth and, of course, in summer for cool.
In the kitchen, there are the usual energy-efficient appliances.
And here we've retained a connection to the original house by using coloured glass, which is similar to coloured glass that was in the original back door. We use this room in the mornings. The sun comes through beautifully in the mornings when we read the paper and have our coffee in here. Inherited these great chairs from Mum and Dad, who kindly gave them to us. I grew up with these chairs and they're very, very comfortable. I've fallen asleep in them many, many times. We also have some low power lighting here. We've got these lights here which are actually made for bathrooms, but we're using them as uplights. They're compact fluorescent tubes, and the light reflects really nicely off the ceiling.
Leading off the living space is a feature no Aussie home should be without.
The purpose of the deck was to bring the outside garden inside. As you can see, we have these bifold doors which really bring the inside and the outside together. And over here we have the chef's paradise. I do most of my cooking here and Kathy cooks in there. Don't like the gender stereotype, but it works quite well in this household. Did the Christmas turkey on this one and it was delicious.
I think my favourite part of the house, now that we've renovated it, is the wonderful deck that we have and the light and space and airiness that it allows us to have.
But maybe the smartest feature of this deck is a gadget.
Up here we have an operable roof, and the idea of this is to have the sun coming in winter and heating up the main living area. And in the high summer sun, it blocks the heat from getting onto the deck. It automatically closes when it rains, so we don't have to worry about it getting wet under here. The water that comes off that roof space goes into the water tanks, and here's a filter for the leaves. We just take this cartridge out and empty the leaves into the garden.
And that rainwater ends up back in the house for the washing machine and toilets. When David and Kathy remodeled this home, they extended from the Victorian cottage and around an L-shaped lot. One of the most important things on their list was not touching any of the eucalyptus trees.
We've got 3 lovely gum trees in our yard, and we wanted to build around them rather than remove them. The somewhat unusual feature of the house is this external cladding material. It's marine ply. It's a recovered material and doesn't require much treatment. It's very durable, and it's somewhat unusual. We've had a few comments about it, but it's working very well. We also recovered some of the space. There was a lot of concrete out here earlier on, a very small patch of grass, so we've recovered it. We've got in some drought-tolerant grass and also drought-tolerant plants.
And out here is the tail end of the home's grey water system.
The washing machine water comes out, goes through a grey water system, and then feeds all of these plants, along with the shower water. We've got in some drought-tolerant grass and also drought-tolerant plants. And we chose drought-tolerant plants specifically, and they're all quite new at the moment, but they'll grow up into a hedge, which will give us a bit of privacy, a bit more privacy.
David and Kathy have managed to achieve the best of both worlds, finding a home they could renovate and going green in the heart of the city.
Building green was quite a surprise. We were able to incorporate all the sustainable features that we wanted to into our very old inner city house, which was wonderful.
Yeah, and the surprise for me is that we haven't had to change much to make an impact.